Hey folks, welcome back. We're going to talk about rear main seals in the Cummins engines in these Dodge pickups. This one happens to be a 2007, but this same type of setup will be in the 5.9 24 valve. It won't be in the 12 valves. We'll go through that a little bit as we go. But here's the thing, it's nothing to do with this pickup. This pickup here is just coming in here because it needs a new clutch. It does not have a leaking rear main seal or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and replace it anyway. But there's one other thing that is involved with that deal that you have to at least look at, because here's the thing with that. I've had about 3 to 4 pickups within the last year and a half, almost 2 years. One of them came in with a oil leak that we assumed was the rear main seal, and when we pulled it apart, it wasn't. It actually ended up being the camshaft seal, a little O-ring seal, and we're going to see that here in a little bit. The other 2, or maybe even might have been 3 other ones, came to me, and they had replaced the rear main seal and it was still leaking. Whether they did it themselves or had it done, basically they were brought to me and said, hey, we can't figure this out. It looks like it right where a rear main seal would be, and we replaced the rear main seal and it's still leaking. So I'm going to show you exactly what's most likely going on. Okay, so when you come in here and you have your transmission, your clutch, and your flywheel removed, or if it's an automatic, you've got your flex plate or whatever they call it removed, and you get to this point right here. Now there are some videos out there that show that you can replace this rear main seal just like this. They talk about drilling a couple of spots here, maybe even putting some screws in it, getting where you can get some lever. That's pretty risky to do. You have a chance of nicking the crankshaft and some other stuff in there. I wouldn't do that. But what you're going to need to do in this point, and you can kind of get a hint of where we're talking about right here. Here's a recessed area right here where the camshaft end would be. Easiest thing to do is remove the starter and then remove these 8 bolts right here, and then I'll show you what is behind that after you do that. It's literally that easy. Okay, so you got the back of the cam here. Now you can see this is leaking now that I've removed this, because there is the O-ring sitting in here. And I mean, look how squished flat this thing is. I'm going to get this out in some better light and show you this deal. This would have started leaking eventually, right, fairly soon, because of how flat this thing is and how smooth. I mean, this feels like it's not even in there, and there's a recessed part for this O-ring to go into. It's a square O-ring. So now you can remove these bolts here, and then couple of them. Well, you're gonna, like, this thing's got this special deal here. You have to get these plastic nuts off of here, and get these 4 bolts out of here, and then pry this thing away from there. Then you can replace the rear main seal on the bench and do a much better job of it than trying to get it out of in here. So, but the main thing is getting to this, because this will cause you some problems eventually, and you'll think it's a rear main seal. Some people have actually replaced a rear main seal, and then they forget about this and they don't do anything with this, and then it still leaks. I've had a couple of those in here, like I said. So I'm trying to help do this video, try to help people not make those mistakes, just because of how easy it is to literally remove the starter. There's 3 bolts like those to remove the starter, and just let it kind of hang there. And then you got 8 bolts that go in here, 15mm head, and tap it off of there, and it comes right off. It sits on these dowels, just make sure them are still in there, and it's that easy. And then it makes this part a lot easy, and you can do the job way better. I'm not going to show any of that kind of stuff. There's lots of other videos showing out how to do these rear main seals. Maybe I'll do it, I don't know. But one thing I can do a caution of is when you do get to this point right here, you know, if you're not doing anything with the oil pan, you can safely, you can drop this oil pan down a little bit and get this put on here, but do not roll the gasket as you're going into there. That was a mistake I had actually done before. Don't want to do that, but you can come in here and, you know, and do, you can see someone's actually put silicone around here on the edges and stuff like that, and that's totally fine. You can see this rear main seal is probably just at the early stages of leaking, very early, but we're going to change it anyways. I do believe when I show you this, how this is going to be an issue, you know, could be an issue here in the near future, and why we're going to fix it. You know, we're basically just going to replace this. We're also going to add a little bit of silicone into it, just for added, you know, just a light film of it. But the old 12 valves didn't have this open like this. They had like a freeze plug or something in here, so you never had this issue, at least that I'm aware of. I've never had it. And I do remember the first time seeing this particular setup in a 2002 5.9, so I know that at least by 24 valve 5.9s they had this style of setup here where this can leak. That was the first time I ever ran into it. So yeah, we'll keep going. Okay, I got this out here in a little better light. But yeah, you can just see, look how smooth. You know, this is it's for this seal to effectively work, it needs to be abrupt a little bit, because it needs to be able to squish. This can't do that, because this is going to go metal and metal and then not squish this seal. And eventually, most likely, if we just put this thing back on without putting a new one in, we would have a leak, or short time after that. And it sucks to have it, you know, to put it in a clutch and then all of a sudden realize you got what looks like a rear main seal leak, and it's actually this. This is the main concern on all these. It needs to be taken care of, even if it's not leaking. You know, obviously this one was not leaking. It was all clean back here. I would assume, and I think that the rear main seal is in its early stages where it's kind of seeping some, but it's not, you know, but it's not like wet or anything like that, but you can see some remnants of, you know, places where I think it might have, or maybe it was leaking in the past and somebody didn't clean this up. That's a possibility too. But I mean, this is so, you know, this just should be catching my fingernail on this O-ring seal. And I mean, really all it is, like I said, it's just an O-ring. I'll have to get a pick to get it out. But it's just a square O-ring, and but it's just worn, it's too thin, and it needs some. Basically now what we need to do is just, we need to get the new one, get it from Cummins. You know, I wouldn't trust any aftermarket type stuff or something like this. Get the one from Cummins. Same with the rear main seal and everything. You know, they want to clean all this groove out of here, and then I'll put just a slight film of silicone in here, just lightly. You don't want to be gobbing this up and having it go, you know, into the camshaft, whatever. I mean, engine's tough enough, they can handle it, but don't just, you know, don't do it. But yeah, clean that up and put the new seal in there, thin coating of silicone even on the other side, and stick it back on there after you redo the replace the rear main seal in that outer cover there. So yeah.